Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Matt Adair alongside Jesse Klein here to talk about the week that was for Ranger football. Of course, Northwestern played at home for the second week in a row where they hosted the Bison of Oklahoma Baptist University to Ranger Field. Northwestern ends up losing this one in a really tight one. 41-38, just a field goal separated these two teams. And Jesse, we missed a field goal early on in that game. Otherwise, we may have been sitting at a tie ball game at the end of regulation.
Well, we shouldn't have been, and that's all that matters. So I very rarely am ifs and buts and candy nuts and whatever, all that stuff. I'm to that point. I really, it's hard for me to sit here tonight. I'm really kind of upset about last Saturday's game. I'm not happy with how that game ended at all. And granted, that's neither here nor there. This is a learning process with a bunch of new coaches, new players, etc. But to be up like that and just give up a lead and lose a ball game, it didn't matter that we missed a field goal. It didn't matter some other stuff. We just didn't play well in the second half and just got exposed for either letting down or not being able to finish an opponent. So
fair to say that the Rangers snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, that's about the best way to put it. So I knew that game was going to be a interesting game. Baptist we haven't played in 75 years. You've talked about it during the radio. We hadn't scored a point on them in the 5 times we had played them beforehand or whatever. But that was all ancient history compared to what was going on. I knew that they had some talent. I knew they had some good kids. I thought we still had the right personnel and everything to beat them. And we started off doing exactly what I hoped would be. And then what I ultimately feared is what ended up happening with coming back and giving up a 21-point lead and picks return for touchdowns 2 different times, at pick sixes, a no call on a safety, just a lot of different things that kind of took the win from our sails, and we end up losing a game that we should have clearly won.
Well, the Rangers and OBU came out in the first quarter, and it was scoreless as both teams really kind of just feeling each other out. Like you said, it's the first time they've seen each other on the field since 1940. The Rangers had never scored against Oklahoma Baptist prior to this game. Then Northwestern opens up the scoring gates in the second quarter and come out 24 points better than OBU. In fact, it was 24-0 with 55 seconds left to play in the first half when OBU picked off their first pass of the day, and it was a 37-yard interception return for a touchdown. That got them on the board for the first time. We went to the locker room 24-7 Rangers.
And minus all the momentum. And really, I think you sit in there for a halftime. OBU is just sitting there going, hey, we're just, that's one play. We scored 7 points, all this stuff. They're back in this, and that's what they spent their halftime thinking about. And unfortunately, our guys spent their halftime thinking about what had just happened, what the offense had just allowed. I mean, the defense pulls a shutout in the first half. I mean, that's the kind of performance our defense had. And all of a sudden, you could feel momentum switch. And then when the second half started, we were in trouble. And it's interesting. I think 2 running backs go down for OBU, and then their third string quarterback or running back, who's listed as a wide receiver, comes in and runs for 211 yards or whatever it is.
Jacob Ellis makes his first appearance after halftime in the backfield. Like you said, he was the third halfback they used that day. At the 12:03 mark into the third, so just 3 minutes into the third period, Ellis breaks free on the first play from scrimmage, a 1-play, 81-yard drive, an 81-yard touchdown run from the line of scrimmage to give them their second score. At that point, it becomes 14-24. It's a 10-point game. At the 5:36 mark, OBU scores again. Stegall, the quarterback, on a 1-yard run, picks up their third touchdown of the game, and they'd closed the gap by that point to 21-24. They then went ahead and took the lead. Jacob Ellis again getting loose at the 14:51 mark in the fourth period, so just 10 seconds into the fourth period, Ellis finds a crease in the defense and goes 44 yards to the end zone, capped off a 9-play, 95-yard drive, started on their own 5-yard line, ate up 3 minutes and 27 seconds of clock. OBU led 27-24 at that point, but the Rangers weren't done. Reed Miller on a 2-yard run gets into the end zone, lays out like Superman to cap off a 1-play, 2-yard drive that took 3 seconds. And what that was, Jesse, the defense forced a fumble by OBU at their own 2-yard line. The Rangers recovered, and Miller scored the go-ahead touchdown. The Rangers led 31-27 with 8:35 left to go in the game. OBU scores again. Stegall on a 1-yard run to cap off a 5-play, 54-yard drive. They retake the lead 34-31. And then Peitzer, the linebacker, intercepts a pass from Reed Miller and goes 26 yards to the end zone on a touchdown interception return. OBU goes up 41-31, but the Rangers find the end zone one more time. Lorenzo Rosario catches a 20-yard pass from Reed Miller to put the Rangers at 41-38, trailing. Rangers trailing 41-38, and then driving in the closing moments of the game and just could not make it happen. Reed Miller was picked off one more time, and that was the end of the game. 5 interceptions on the day for Miller, but other than that, a pretty good day passing. Completed over 60% of his passes, threw for 500 yards, but it just wasn't enough.
But five interceptions? Mm-hmm. You just can't turn over the ball that much. I mean, we've made excuses about 70 passes. But I mean, right now he's I watched Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, I don't know which one it was, and it was like this year Eli Manning is 1 interception for every 48 passes. All right, well, we're doing 1 for 10 right now. I mean, we have 70 pass game. We have 7 interceptions. We have a 50 pass game. We have 5 interceptions. So I just it's turnovers right now, and those aren't all Reed's fault. I'm not picking on the man, but I'm just saying that we have got to start winning the turnover battle.
Yeah, and
right now, I mean, look at how many points they got off of those turnovers.
The craziest thing is that we were in the turnover battle. Yes, we were picked off 5 times in that game, but OBU
Jordan Norris and the team makes you in the turnover battle. 2
interceptions, and the Rangers forced 4 fumbles against OBU and recovered all 4. We never gave up a fumble. We had 2 in the game.
Right. Well, I'm saying I'm not denying the fact that our defense, I thought they played well. If you take all of those special, those points off interceptions and things off the board, I mean, our defense did a great job and had a great game, and they're really probably more disappointed than anybody else does, because they dealt with a very squirrely offense and did that. But I mean, they give up 2 big plays, and that might be it. That may be all they really had. So it's a very tough game to watch. It was a very tough game to call. I bleed red and black probably more than a lot of people in this room, and that hurt. I mean, that just hurt more than maybe any other game that I've ever watched here. I mean, I was at the 2000 National Championship game when we didn't score a point in the rain, just miserable. And I still think I'd go back there and enjoy that weekend more than what I did this past weekend. So it's disappointing, but troops are probably motivated. I expect for big things to come up this weekend.
Play that took place in the third period, it looks like, I think anyways, if my stat sheet is correct, 4th period. Probably one of the bigger momentum swings in the game. We actually have them pinned on 4th and long, and they go to punt. A roughing the punter penalty gives them a first down. They go ahead and score on that drive, and that was really a momentum killer for the Rangers.
Absolutely. And really, like I said, momentum had been already started to be sucked out of us after the ending play of the first half, basically. But there was just a lot of things. It was the perfect storm for the Bison, and you learn a good lesson there. I mean, that's I look forward to next year playing down there on their turf. So as I don't think the result will be the same, I think we'll learn a lot.
Well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have the head coach for Ranger football, Coach Matt Walter. You're listening to Inside the Lines right here on AM 1430 KALV. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. I'm Matt Adair, joined in the booth by my colleague Jesse Klein, and soon the head coach for Ranger football, Coach Matt Walter. Jesse, this one's going to be a tough one to talk to the coach about, don't you think?
It is, and hopefully, he's been sitting behind me. He hasn't listened to me the whole time. So, no, but I've talked to Coach several times. I was at Quarterback Club on Tuesday, and I was one of the guys in the room that actually asked him some questions. So he already knows kind of how I feel, and I'm close to the program. I spent a lot of time last week with them. I felt comfortable going into this. I will hear his take on it, but it's not an easy one to talk about. I know it's not for him either. So.
Well, Coach, let me put the narrative to you like this. You tell me if you think we're on the right path. Is this just another evolutionary step in this team kind of coming of age? We've had the game where they came out, were behind, and ended up winning. They were down 17 to Monticello, came back and won. They've had the game where they kind of got their heads smashed in a little bit in that rebound game against Southern Arkansas. They've had the games where they have had good opponents on the field and played them tight. Henderson and Ouachita, both good games for the Rangers. East Central, also another good game. They're learning that they can play with guys. Was it inevitable at some point that they would have the game where they've got the lead opened up and they gave it up? Is that just part of the progression that a young team goes through?
I definitely think so. I mean, unfortunately, you kind of have those growing pains at times. The only way they can rebound from that or learn from that is to have it happen to them. And they expected to win the game, and most people expected them to win the game. And we jumped out to that lead, got complacent, and they thought that it was just going to happen for them, and they didn't continue to play the way they were playing when it was 0-0. And getting them to play the same way when it's 0-0 or we're up by 20 or down by 20, whatever the case may be, is quite a learning step for us that we need to continue to work on, continue to learn. And our guys, I think it's just they got to go through it. They got to go through it.
This has been part of your mantra to these guys all season long, and maybe it takes a little dose of reality to get it to sink in, but I've heard you say 100 times this season, don't look at the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Whether we're big up, big down, we're always in a game.
That's right.
And you got to play that way.
That's right, and it's hard to get these kids, they're just young, to actually believe that and not do that. That's a very difficult thing to do, and heck, it's really difficult as a coach to do that too. And we got to continue to play the way we play when we think that we're not expected to do anything. And that's a hard thing to do because they haven't been expected to beat anybody in a while. And to have that feeling is different for a team that's used to playing from behind all the time. And we did against Southeastern, but Southeastern, no one expected us to win except us. And they didn't, they didn't kind of crater under that pressure. I think Southeastern did a little bit. They played tight, and we get up in this game, and then they score. And they score again come in the third quarter, and I think we started tightening up as a team. And when you do that and you don't play loose and don't play the way we were playing to get to that point, then you're going to have some problems. And that's what happened to us. We couldn't stop the bleeding once it started, and that's very frustrating. But at the same time, it's a great learning tool. A great learning tool to the next time they're in this situation, not let that happen and learn from it. And that's what we've been focusing on, Sunday and Monday for sure.
That kind of Matt's question kind of took over part of what I was going to say, so I'm going to flip around and ask it a little bit differently. 24-0, you're down. Let's say it was the other way around, OBU's
right.
up. That's the perfect storm, though, for you to score on the last play of the first half. If you look at it, I'm throwing it around differently. We all know what has. It was, if not,
55 seconds.
It was close enough that they go into halftime, or you go into halftime with just basically stealing all the momentum, because you're not going to come out. The Rangers were forced to basically come back out with 55 seconds left on the clock, and really no desire to do that again.
Right.
We could have. We get intercepted. We already had just done that. We were trying to drive. We throw a pass. It gets picked off. It gets returned all the way. But for the Bison, that really was the perfect storm. If you wanted to win in Alva after being down 21 points or 24 points, you want to end that first half, have all the momentum, go in there and let those guys think about us. Hey, that took 2 seconds, guys. We scored 7 points. This is we're back in this.
That was an unfortunate deal, and that was a play that we installed the first day. First day is our base, one of our base plays that we run every day, several times a day. And the receiver decided to do his own thing for whatever reason, and he wasn't there. It was a timing route, and he wasn't there where he was supposed to be. Unfortunately, for the first, we messed up that route. That was probably the first time all year, because we run that route all the time. And it's one of our 2-minute routes, and we're in 2-minute mode trying to score again. To really, I'm trying to get these kids to have a killer instinct, and that was what we were trying to do. And we're going to attack, and when we don't attack, we don't play real well. And
that makes me want to ask this only because I know the answer, and you just gave me the answer. But, is there not a part of you that knows that there's basically less than a minute and a half if you want to go in 24 and you have the ball? If you want to go in 24-0, you can go in 24-0. Then we're going to stop you.
Sure.
But the attack deal. That means that also, it's easy to say, hey, player makes mistakes, but that also you could have prevented that. Anybody, you could have said, like, we're going to go take the knee 3 times and just go into halftime. And that's not that killer instinct, but someone could say, hey, you see that. I think it's a little bit different in the NFL, but when somebody makes a deal like that with all the money in the line and everything that's going on, you're not trying to make football players out of some of these kids. These guys are already professionals. So if a coach makes a decision like that and it costs them the game, or if someone points to that and says everything's changed, that's the difference between having a multi-million-dollar job one day and not having one the next day. That's not the situation or criteria here, but I'm saying that
our lessons are totally different. We're teaching lessons to these kids about how to rebound and grow up from certain situations, and that's what we're doing. And I'm never going to let up at all. I'll kneel at the end of a game, but at the end of a half, you've seen it time and time again. We scored 31 points in a quarter.
Yeah,
you're never up. All right, especially the way officiating is these days, you're never up enough because you can always come back. The way the clock works now, the way the tempo offenses are, and the way that the game is officiated, you're almost never out of a game.
Well, and even to your credit there, Coach, talking about the aggressive nature of the offense that you run here, you're really not playing that game for OBU at that point. You're playing that game because at some point in time, this is going to be your team with the conference title potentially hanging in the balance, and they may need to know that they can score if there's 55 seconds left on the clock, and that's a situation in the game that they are used to at that point.
And we got to, I wasn't saying, oh, let's go work on the 2-minute drill. I was saying, hey, let's go work on our offense, and I call the most basic play we have. And, you don't expect that to happen. Kids make mistakes. They're young kids, and that's not acceptable. But at the same time, it's one of those things that was a very safe call to me because we run it all the time. All the time.
Now, Coach, let's talk a little bit about the quarterback. Reed has 500 yards passing in this game, which is phenomenal. Completes 65% of his throws on this day. But the 5 interceptions, the last time Reed had a big interceptions game, as you go back and watch the film, you said, 4 or 5 of those balls you couldn't blame on Reed. In this game, did you see something similar to that, or were these a little bit of a different instance?
It's all-encompassing.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, he made one bad decision, and it wasn't the one at the end of the half. That was timing.
It was probably the second interception return for a touchdown.
Right, but still, again, the route was run wrong. But he saw it this time. And it wasn't a timing route. It's a read route, and he read it. And the guy's open at first when he wants to throw it, doesn't let it go. The receiver drifts, and then he throws it anyway.
Now, did you see it on film? I remember it as plain as day. As he's watching that route develop, he double patted the football. It's something I've never seen.
He was about to throw it, and then the kid wasn't turned around.
Yeah, I've never seen Reed hesitate like that.
Yeah, and it's something that, that was, again, a base play that we run all the time. Safe call, in my opinion. Again, it's all-encompassing. He had about 2 bad throws out of 60 on the day.
So,
I'm talking about bad throws, not bad decisions.
Right. Now, I did wonder if maybe the communication between quarterback and receivers just seemed to be a little bit off today, on this particular Saturday. 2 balls Reed through into an area that were kind of in the middle of 2 receivers, and then I would see him talk to them as they came back across the line. It looks like there was some miscommunication on what routes should be run. And
no, they just ran them wrong.
Well, there you go.
And he was just telling them, hey, you got to go outside the defender there, so that it opens up the window for me to throw it into. Like the one where he threw it to Jay Lord was an interception on R1 going in. I believe his first drive of the game. Jay Lord, he's got to go outside that receiver, but Reed needs to not throw that ball because he didn't go outside. He needs to know that, and he does know that, and he shouldn't have thrown that ball. That was a bad decision.
Well, I wanted to. I guess I am going to pick on him just a little bit. That's 19 touchdown passes, 19 interceptions. I think where he's at on the year. He's thrown it like 330 times, but that's an interception every 18 passes. I mean, and that's something that's way too low. That's something I'm not saying that's terrible. It may be for. I know it seems like it's that way, but a lot of those do come down to him knowing not to throw the ball. Instead of saying, hey, look, this is the play. I put the ball where it was supposed to be. Well, the problem is that doesn't matter if the receiver's not there, if the look's not right, all those things. And you're saying that he probably should know to stop some of those than what he doesn't do. And I understand that's a game-time decision, but, there's a lot of different things that go into 19 picks, but I'm just saying that.
I would attribute 8 of them to him.
Okay.
You know?
That's fine. And
now let me not necessarily come to his aid, but I'm going to defend him here. I would bet you that he's the only junior quarterback in the conference that's a non-transfer kid playing with wide receivers that he's never thrown to prior to this season. I mean, Justin Lord a little bit, Alex De La Cruz a little bit, but for the most part, those guys didn't get a whole lot of playing
Sean
time.
Bunker, you're just going to leave his name off.
Justin is the one steady that's been there. But most of the time when you see a well-developed junior quarterback, you've also got some wide receivers that they've had a couple of years of success together with.
Yeah, I mean,
and these guys are really learning each other in a new system for the first time.
Yeah, it's 7 games into a brand new system.
I'm all right with the new system. And I agree with that.
You know, so, I mean, we got a long way to go. He's playing really well, though. You know, if you look at it, over 60% completions, 9 drops on Saturday.
Now,
9.
And again, the drops monster, it comes up about every other week, it seems like.
You know, so, I mean, it's like I said, the quarterback gets way too much blame and way too much credit.
Now, let's talk for a minute about something that I think you can assign some blame to in this game, Coach, and that's the mental mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
You said, for Reed, a couple of bad passes, but we had 16 penalties, 188 yards in that game. Probably no bigger penalty. I don't want to pick on who it was that did it. I really like the kid, but we had a roughing the punter penalty there late that really swung a lot of momentum. I'm not going to say that was the deciding factor in the game, but that certainly deprived you of an offensive possession.
Yeah, they scored on that drive. That was a very rough one. That's the only penalty I'll talk about this game because that was the only penalty that was probably warranted. Let's just leave it at that.
I mean, warranted as being thrown, not as warranted for going and hitting the punter. You mean it was an
appropriately called penalty.
That was about the only one that we deserved. No, I'm just.
There was a lot of flags.
Being bitter on that part, but
I understand.
That was a big mental mistake, and
half the time I think we're not supposed to talk about flags on the radio.
I can talk about whatever I want to. See the First Amendment. So, anyways, we'll move on from the mental mistakes. Coach, let's talk a little bit about the running game, and I know that we are a pass-first team, and the stats bear that out. Reed is among the top in the nation right now in total passing yards. Our team sits near the top of the conference as far as the pass game and pass efficiency goes. I think we're 4-2 in over total passing and like number 4 in passing efficiency or something like that. So the pass game is certainly working. The run game has been a little slower to develop. It's kind of been here one week and then disappears one week. This week, 92 yards gained rushing, 82 yards lost rushing, and Reed is sacked 7 times in this game, which seemed like it was a lot. Were they doing some different things, bringing pressure to the quarterback?
Bringing 7 guys all the time, leaving guys open. That's what they do. You know, they have 7-man box. You can't run against it. That's what they're trying to do. I mean, you can run against it if you're built that way. We're not built that way right now. We don't have certain players or certain positions where we do that very well versus a 7-man box. And, you know, that doesn't give us the best chance to win. And, you know, I'm all about giving us the best chance to win. And when you have a 7-man box, running the ball in your head against the wall, basically, is what you're doing. And, you know, that's pointless. So,
is the most difficult part of taking a game like this in the aftermath, looking back at it as a coach and saying, we were up 24 points and managed to let this one get away? Does that sting stay with you for longer than it should?
Yeah, because I have to talk about it on Wednesday night when I've been working on another team for 3 days now.
Well, we love you too, Coach.
Sounds to me like we've reached the point in the broadcast where it's time to take a break.
It works for me.
All right, we're going to get out of here with Coach Walter and leave this week in the record books. We'll be looking forward to SNU when we get him back here on 4th Down to talk about the Crimson Storm as we head to Bethany on Saturday. We're going to take a break. You're listening to Inside the Lines right here on AM 1430 KALV. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Matt Adair, Jesse Klein, joined in the booth tonight by Keenan Lott, defensive secondary coach for the Rangers and a former player. Keenan, welcome to the show, man.
How are you?
Hey, we're glad to have you on tonight. We brought you in tonight because we've got a very special young man that we want to talk about, somebody that we want to give a lot of attention to because he's really earned it this season. The Rangers right now have a defensive back who is in the top 2 in the nation, all of the D2 football for interceptions, and that's none other than the big number 25. That's Jordan Norris. Jordan's picked off 7 passes, and the last 4 games now have just been him on an absolute tear. He got 2 interceptions a game for 3 straight games, and had 1 in this game, a couple of pass breakups, did some really good stuff. Tell us a little bit about
fumble recovery, I think.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about coaching Jordan and a little bit about your defensive secondary.
Let's see. We got Jordan, who is the oldest of them all. He's a junior. And on the other side, we have a true freshman who's came in and actually he's progressed.
And that's Eric Cook, correct?
Yes, Eric Cook. He's progressed from week 1 to now tremendously. I'm ready for the next 3 years with him as well. Jordan, he comes in and he knows what to do. There's times, he still can be. He's got a long ways to go still, but he's making great plays. He honestly should have at least 4 more.
Yeah, well, and
he's crazy that he's dropped some.
He turned down an interception in the end zone one time. He could have had it and actually just batted it down to take the field position.
And he puts us in good positions a lot of times. You don't get beat too much over top. I mean, there's times you're going to mess up. You're a kid. I mean, it's going to happen. Ever since that ECU game, he's been focused in on Saturdays, and that's been the best thing for us.
Now, I'll tell you, one of the things that I've seen about Jordan on the field is that and obviously, I mean, he plays in the defensive secondary. There are going to be times when he is actually out of position, but he's a player that looks like he's never out of position. He's a guy that all of a sudden the quarterback can see a receiver streaking down the field, and there's a window there, and in the next moment it's closed and Jordan's going the other direction.
A lot of that is he's been focusing on technique this year more than anything. He's understanding where he needs to be, his eyes, his placement, where he fits in on the defense, what everyone else needs to do, and that comes with his age. Eric, we're working on him with keep your eyes on this, you work on this. All right, now Jordan has a little more leeway. You can figure out, all right, the safety's doing this, so I could help him this and then lean on this.
Just a little deeper understanding.
Yeah, a little deeper understanding of the game, and that's coming with his age and understanding the speed of the college game and everything, and this year's came together for him very nice.
Now, you may see this different. You're a coach, but it appears to me that Jordan's also a guy that's not afraid to go up and strike somebody. He'll make plays at the line of scrimmage if he gets the opportunity. I've seen him in some hits. It seems like he's always a guy that's around the football.
I'd like to see more, of course. But, but yeah, I mean, he's not the biggest kid. I mean, he's 165 pounds soaking wet. And but he'll go in there and he'll try. He'll throw his body in there under, being so much smaller and do what he has to do to make the tackle.
Now, we talked about this a little bit off the air before the show. It impresses me that a guy that's recorded 7 interceptions in 4 games is second in the nation in picks for the year, and that we're still getting balls thrown at him. That probably won't be something that a lot of teams are going to do week in, week out.
I haven't really understood it either. We kind of joke about it in meetings at times, and we're just like, I don't know why they keep trying him, and there's a true freshman on the other side that hasn't really got tried much, honestly, and I don't know if it's because he's a bigger statue. Jordan. I mean, Eric stands about 6 foot, 170, 175, and Jordan's a lot smaller, but I figure the number 25. He's been the last 4 games. 7 interceptions in 4 games. That's pretty good numbers.
Well, Coach Walter, of course, he's one of those guys that told us off the air, he's like, hey, I don't do a whole lot of statistics scouting. He goes, I don't really look at the statistics on the guys across from the ball. I watch the film and see them. But with Jordan building the reputation that he's building, there are going to be guys that start to statistically look at him and say, it may just not be worth it.
I see it the same way. And the thing is with us, we keep him on one side of the field. We keep Eric on our sideline a lot of times just so we can help him in
a little
more coaching in the ear. Hey, you need to be here. Watch this, watch this, watch this. So Jordan's over on by himself, and he loves being on their sideline because he gets to hear their talk the whole time, and it just kind of fires him up the whole game. He's like, all right, cool. He hears them. When he makes a play, he can talk back, just be in the game. And he told me he feels over there like he's just by himself. He's in his own world out there, and he just gets to focus in the game.
He seems like the type of corner that doesn't mind being isolated on an island either.
He enjoys
how did you go
challenge.
there? That's like where I was going to call it Jordan Island. It's like a deal from my house. I was like, that's exactly what I thought of. When you talk about isolation, that's exactly.
We have seen the opposing teams to their sideline run their A wide receiver over there in one-on-one coverage against Jordan, and some of these guys have been big physical wide receivers, but none of them have really been able to just beat Jordan one way or the other. I mean, he is always there. He's got a ton of pass breakups this year too.
Yes, a lot of that is, he's a lot shorter than most of the big-time receivers
and stuff,
and he can jump, and a lot of it is, the biggest thing is with Coach Lemke's defense on corners, we stress the eyes and technique, and
now when you talk about the eyes, is that like don't get caught peeking into the backfield?
If you're looking at the back, see the quarterback throwing the ball, you're going to see the ball be caught. I mean, that's just how it's going to be. Unless you are on top of that route, looking through that ear hole of that receiver technically, then you can make a play and see your eyes,
Which means that he's basically out there, and it doesn't really matter what's going on. He runs that same deal. He's on every play because until the wide receiver gives up and shows that it's not, he should just be playing his man.
Yep.
Doesn't even care. The ball could have been passed to the right, could have been handed off, going the other way. Until that receiver quits, Jordan should be hooked up with him.
Yeah. And, there's times, of course, you're going to peak and all that, and that's usually when he's getting beat. When he loses his technique is when he gets beat. Rarely has he just got beat physically, just, I'm better than you. It hasn't happened much.
Well, yeah, I think I'd take Jordan in a lot of those matchups, no doubt. Let's give a little bit of love to some of your other guys. I know Chris Ladd's having a good season, too. A couple of the other guys I'm sure you want to talk about some.
Oh, yeah. Chris is pretty much the quarterback of the defense, honestly. And Coach Sullivan, who's over there, that's his position with the safeties. And he's done a phenomenal job this year getting everyone in line. He's the one that's calling most of the shots out there. He'll come down in the box, get linebackers set. He's telling the corners, this is what you need to do. He's played almost every snap of every game. Being a warrior.
That may have just explained something. I kind of felt like week 1, week 2, maybe he was quarterbacking so much that he wasn't as in on as many of the plays as what he is. And now that the defense is he's got everybody in the right spot. Man, him and Peyton, all of a sudden it's both them in on the tackle. And it seems like he's kind of been freed up a little bit to have more fun now that he's not. He's out there directing the defense, but he's not behind the game when that happens because now he's getting a chance to go in there because we seem like we're calling his name all the time. Now, granted, he's been all over the field anyway, but it really seems like the last couple of games he's kind of been freed up. I'm not having to coach so much. I'm not having to quarterback so much the defense because everybody's where they're supposed to be, and now I get to go have fun. And he gets to go play his stuff, and he seems to be in there in a lot of plays.
A lot of it, yeah. He's taken in the role of being that senior leader for us on the defense. He's figuring out. He came and stayed later with me and Coach Sullivan. After one meeting, he was just talking about how I'm figuring out that I have like 5 more games left, I don't need to quit playing around. Like, I'm about to be done.
Right.
And ever since that meeting, he's been a whole different person.
Well, and that's kind of the same thing, too. Instead of he's got to have some fun to finish out. Yeah. If you got to game 10 and 11, I'd be like, where the hell did the season go? And I've done, granted, I've taught a lot of kids around me, but there's a little bit more to it than being the senior leader. You got to go out and put those hits on and do some of that stuff. And you've seen that. And, he's a guy that I know we've talked about a lot over the last couple of years and has really matured, and you can't use the term matured and blossom in the same deal. I think that's especially when you're talking about a football player. But he's just really matured and grown as a player, as a young man, and I'm glad that he's out there. That's one of those guys that you just know that if the ball's there, he's around it. He just smells it. He chases it. He's there. He doesn't stop at anything, and it's great to have a guy like that on the field.
Jordan Norris's stat line for the day ends up like this: a solo tackle to his credit, a fumble return for 7 yards, 1 interception in the game with a 13-yard return, a pass breakup, and 1 pass batted down on the day. Just a great season.
Yes, sir.
Coach, we're going to do this with you because you're the guy that's here today. So now as we turn to look towards Southern Nazarene, of course, we all know in Ranger football lore, Southern Nazarene has never beaten Northwestern on the field. As you look at the Crimson Storm this year, especially in those receiver matchups, what do you see? Because I'm going to tell you, I'll be real honest with you. They don't appear real great in the stat columns across the Great American Conference in many offensive categories, but this seems like it's a game they always get up for. So tell us a little bit about their receiving core as you see them.
Exactly. They will definitely be coming to beat us. That's their big game for us. They're going to circle Northwestern every year and say, hey, we got to get them. So they're going to come to play. Statistically and everything, no. They're not up there very high, but that doesn't mean that we can just slack off this week, look past them, and try and go to the next week without focusing on what we need to do. We need to continue our techniques, continue to work on our eyes every day, and not look past this team where they can sneak up on us like personally how I believe last week happened. We got up, and then they kind of snuck back into us. We just got to go and dominate the game. We want to, hopefully have no passes on us. That'd be great. 0 pass yards.
As honest as that sounds, it might not be outside the realm of possibilities. They have used 10 different receivers, and they've got 10 different receivers on the roster with at least 6 catches or more this season. Their leading receiver's got 23 grabs. He's a young man named Martin Johnson, 186 yards. He does not have a touchdown for them. In fact, in all of their top wide receivers, they've only got 3 touchdowns on the year. This is a team that hasn't scored a lot, but it seems like against Northwestern, they always find a way to score right at the right time. So are you looking at this game? How has it been as far as trying to get these corners to look at this game and say, you got to take these guys seriously?
I just tell them it's the same every week. I mean,
any given Saturday,
anyone can win, And I believe the same thing comes with this. This is their rivalry game for us. Our big one's Southwestern as well. But this new game, if we look past it, we're going to get hurt. And this should be the team that we shouldn't allow anything on. We should have great numbers.
This should be a week where you go in, you put in work, you do your thing, and everybody looks good at the end.
Have fun this week.
Yeah.
Have fun. Go out there loose and have fun.
All right, Coach. Hey, exciting Saturday coming up as we hit the road one more time. Keenan, we appreciate your time. I want you to come back to the show anytime you get a chance, man.
Will do.
Anytime you can make your way out. That is Keenan Lott, defensive secondary coach here for the Rangers, talking a little Northwestern football as Southern Nazarene prepares to host the Rangers on Saturday. We'll take a break and be back with Jesse to talk about the action that took place across the Great American Conference this week. You're listening to Inside the Lines right here on AM 1430 KALV. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Jesse Klein is our color commentator for the Ranger Sports Network. Joins us in the booth, and the GAC conference segment is usually the Jesse Klein segment. Jesse, I'm going to start with the rankings or the standings. Well, I guess we shouldn't do that. We should start with how last week turned out. If you want to run us through what did last week look like on the end of the scoreboard?
Close ball game at East Central. Arkansas Tech falls 19-20. East Central picks up a big win in Ada, Oklahoma. Oklahoma Baptist, of course, as we talked about, 41-38. Another, I guess that's a road team win, which has been fairly rare in the GAC conference so far this week or this year. Ouachita Baptist and Southern Ark met at a neutral site in El Dorado, Arkansas, which saw Southern Arkansas come out on top 32-28. Harding traveled to Durant, Oklahoma to take on Southeastern. I don't know how many overtimes it is, but it's a lot. The final score ends up being 63-60. Harding wins with a field goal in overtime, whatever is fourth overtime, I'm not sure. But watched that on the stat deal. Was hoping that one would flip the other way, but I lose a game because of that.
Was that the 19-20 game you said?
No, that's the 63-60 game.
Okay, right.
You're still going back to that?
4 overtimes.
Is it 4? I knew it was a lot.
They went into 4 overtimes to decide that one.
Southwestern 73, Southern Nazarene 7. Game at Weatherford, Oklahoma. SNU just not able to do anything all day long, and it shows on the scoreboard. Henderson State, though, a team that you just really don't know what to do with. 41-3, leading the conference now. I think, as you're going to tell me, as Tech falls, Henderson's got the 5-1 record or 6-1 record.
I know what to do with them.
It takes to win.
I know what to do with them. Crown them. That's what you do with a team like Henderson. You just give them the crown because they're going to go through turmoil without Kevin Rogers. But at the end of the day, look who's sifted out on top.
And there's proof that when you build a program to win championships and do that, you can lose a Kevin Rogers and still be good. Even though you don't necessarily pass the eyeball test, you don't pass the smell test, you don't pass the score test all the time. What's that?
They passed.
Well, and true, but they didn't. I mean, they didn't. I would. I know. Just Coach jumps in. I mean, we lost by 8 points to them. And, I mean, I'm not saying that we were ever, and really, they may have never been fearful that we were going to win that game, but I know dang well that they know that they were in a ball game, and they will not look at us the same way the next time we either go there or they come here because of that. But they win ball games, and that's what they do. And they win games that if it's a 2-point win, it's a 6-point win, it's an 8-point win. They just don't have the 63-7 games that they used to have. And so there's the GAC conference results. You've got the standings, man.
A lot of ties here in the standings. Henderson emerges at the top all alone. They are 6-1. Their only loss came at home. They're 2-1, defending their home field, 4-0 away. Their win streak is 5 in a row without a loss. Arkansas Tech, East Central, Harding, and Southern Arkansas are tied for second in the overall conference standings. Ouachita and Southwestern right now tied at third. Their records are 4-3 for both teams. Southeastern stands alone at fourth in the conference with a 3-4 record. Northwestern and Oklahoma Baptist University now tied for fifth with 2-5 records on the season. And the guys at the bottom right now, number 6, Arkansas Monticello, they are 1-6 on the year, and Southern Nazarene is 0-7. And Jesse, that losing streak extends extends well beyond this season. In fact, if I remember correctly, I believe it is a 32-game losing streak that Southern Nazarene is riding.
We're not going to talk about the bet that I'm offering to anybody. I'll take whatever odds they want, but it might be
32.
It might be 100 someday. You better be careful. So
32 straight games without a loss, and of course the biggest stat on the page
without a win.
They have never beaten Northwestern in a game on the field. So now that we know what the GAC conference looked like, how did that affect the top 25?
You know that the top 25 didn't have a whole lot of changes this week, other than the fact that the Emporia State team managed to fall this week. That was Fort Hays they lost to. Is that
after having beaten
Pitt State? I'm glad you keep up. But,
4 days is a tough place to play. Coach Brown does a great job. They're much improved.
Hey, FYI, former home of Justin Iskey, now with Southwestern.
Hey, wasn't Adams up there at one point too? I think
played there.
He played. It doesn't matter. We have a lot of connection back. We used to go to Fort Hays. I've been to basketball games at Fort Hays State. I've been to football games at Fort Hays State. It was when I was a kid.
We played him in '99.
Iskey and Adams, of course, share the fraternity rings, coach, that you wear as Ranger coaches, former Ranger coaches. So we're spread out all over the MIAA.
Outside of that, Minnesota State's the top. West Georgia, Ferris State, Sioux Falls. Man, they've transitioned at the right time. Pueblo's in the top 6 themselves. Mine's up there in the top 7. Texas A&M Commerce, Midwestern State, Ashland rounds out the top 10. Basically, you've got Henderson State 6-1, jump back into the D2 football rankings at number 24. Emporia State falls from 16 to 23 in that. But I guess, similar teams. You know what Emporia is. Is Emporia better than that Henderson State team? You talk about Henderson State being probably maybe the most talented team that you've seen so far this year that you think maybe in the GAC conference. Where do you think they stack up against each other? Be a good game? Well, that's good. According to D2 football, it would be a good game. 23 versus 24.
Emporia headed to the playoffs again?
You got a big one this week.
They got a big one.
Who's this?
Northwest
Missouri, huh?
Yep. So
they're only number 5 in the nation.
Let me answer that after.
There we go. Good things to talk about. All right, that will round out our talk about the top 25. Jesse, let's take a look at the games to be played this week in the Great American Conference.
All right, Southwestern takes on OBU in Shawnee. Matt,
I am going to pick. I can't pick Southwestern. I'm going to pick OBU.
I pick Southwestern, so I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah, but you've been doing that here lately. You're on the Dogs bandwagon.
Oh, you better be careful.
You might get their family.
Monticello travels to Ouachita in Arkadelphia, Arkansas.
I'll take Ouachita.
No one really was surprised there. Southern Ark, Henderson State in Arkadelphia at the exact same time. So we're going to have 2 football games going on at 2 different stadiums.
Right across the street from each other.
Well, it's actually an hour later, but they didn't want traffic to be able to.
Anderson's on top. I say crown them.
All right, I'm going with Southern Ark. East Central travels to Searcy, Arkansas, for all you Game of Thrones fans. East Central Harding, what do you think, Matt?
I'm going to go with East Central in the upset.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and go with Harding because last week I picked the backwards way and didn't get what I want, so I'm picking it the other way. Southeastern travels to Russellville, Arkansas to take on Arkansas Tech.
Tech rolls.
All right, and finally, Northwestern, Southern Nazarene. I'm going to go ahead and put you down here next to SNU.
I'm going to go with the guys that are going to be playing as the visitors at Ranger South.
Ranger South. I love traveling to Ranger South. I will check in on Facebook at about 3 o'clock Saturday from Ranger South. So,
and you know how that post goes. If you ain't a Ranger, it's time to take a break. You're listening to Inside the Lines right here on AM 1430 KALV. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Matt Adair, Jesse Klein, Matt Walter, the head coach for Ranger football, here to look down the road at the game to take place in Bethany, Oklahoma against Southern Nazarene University, the Crimson Storm. The Rangers will play at 4 o'clock. Our pregame begins at 3. You can catch all the action right here on AM 1430 KALV. Jesse, I'm going to turn it over to you for this segment, but I want to ride out saying we just don't lose to SNU.
Who started that? Is that me?
It might have been us. I'm going to give it to you.
Well, that's fine. Coach, this is a game, you should be looking at having a chance to have a 500 record after Saturday. You go down and play a good game against SNU, you should be 4-4 after what happened last week. You're now digging yourself out of a hole that you probably didn't anticipate. We already talked. You don't believe in any trap games and all this stuff. Troops
that question's coming back though. Just probably
motivated a little bit differently this week. Is this more of a personal redemption, personal, hey, we're not going to let down. We're probably had a halftime and an after-game speech that some guys don't ever want to hear again. As I assume that's going to go well in your favor Saturday. I didn't.
We're going down there to try to take care of business and win a football game.
And I know we make light of it with SNU a lot personally, but I mean this is a serious game. You got to treat it just like anybody else. But
we're not at the point where we can expect to beat anybody.
Exactly.
There's no gimmies, and we're not at the program level to do that yet. And I've been on those teams that you can do that, and we're not there even close yet. So we have to play a good game to win the game.
I can appreciate the fact that you guys have to look at this and say every week is a battle, and we're going to go out and we've got to fight and we've got to do things right. I will tell you that statistically, Southern Nazarene leads the league in categories at the bottom of the conference across the board.
Oh,
they have more categories. No, it's just a thing. They are at the bottom of more categories on the Great American
Conference. Could be a
Conference.
Big smart, but I'm not going to be.
Yeah, that's probably good for you. I can do that.
Yep.
9 passing touchdowns on the year. That's it.
Yeah, they are the lowest scoring team in the conference by
15
a
points
large
a game.
margin.
15 points a game. See anything offensively that they will look to try to exploit against us and the Ranger defense?
No, not really. I think they're searching for an identity, both offensively and defensively, what they want to do. They jumped out into a totally different defense, a 3-3 stack against Southwestern last week that they hadn't shown all year. So they're searching.
And it rewarded them with 73 points allowed.
Oh, yeah. They're searching. They're searching, and you do that at times when you're struggling or you're struggling to find that identity. And I've been there. I've been there when you don't know exactly what you are. And, so... I feel for them on some of the things, what they're trying to figure out how to get things rolling, and
defense.
But at the same time, they do have some guys that have made some plays now. They can make some plays at times, and they started that game against Southwestern with 2 interceptions, first 2 drives, 2 interceptions. Against Southwestern's quarterback, who is pretty good, I think.
Now, Coach, here's a question for this. As you look at this SNU team, and I know you've told me 100 times it's really difficult to get an eyeball feel for what a guy actually looks like physically on film, but if you were to just go down the row, position by position, size, physicality, do we match up well against these guys? Yeah, the
matchup is one we like, in a lot of areas, so... but like I said, this is a game that they probably circled as a team they thought they might be able to win against. And I've told our team that. And they're going to throw everything at us they can to try to win, and they're going to do everything in their power to give them a chance.
Coach, the last time we were at Bethany, Southern Nazarene's senior day, we were there for their last home game of the season. They said goodbye to 18 seniors in a promenade that took a long time. There was 18 guys leaving the program, and we beat them 62-17. You turn around with a much younger team. They come to Alva, and last year's game was 39-29, and there were times when the game, I'm not going to say was in question, but was a lot closer than I'd like to be comfortable with.
Sure.
These guys, I think you maybe hit the nail right on the head. This is the game of all the games they'll play this season that they have circled from day one and said, if we are going to get it, Oklahoma Baptist being new to the conference, this, that, and the other, they want to beat Northwestern as bad as they want to do anything in this conference.
Sure, and like I said, they'll be up for the game, and they'll be excited to play, and emotion only lasts so long, but I think they'll be excited the whole game to play us.
Are you, this is a terrible question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, are you expecting the unexpected in this game? Because if they're going to pull out the fake punts and the double reverse option quarterback throw or rug,
we're telling our kids to be ready for the onsides, be ready for the fakes, be ready for their offense to just throw everything at us they can, to try to win the game. But that's how you get out of games really quick too.
Now, Now you're coaching. Let's turn the table. Another terrible comparison. You're the head coach at Southern Nazarene right now. You're on a 32-game losing streak. You are 0 for 11 against the Rangers, even though technically with the asterisk we have to say that we've won the last 9 because they got one due to a forfeit. But we've beat them 11 straight times. You've lost 32 games in a row. You've never had a conference victory. Do you throw it out the window defensively and just say, you know what, we're just going to bring the house? I know they want to pass, and they've struggled a little bit to run. We're going to pressure them from every position on the field.
They haven't scouted us very well because when people pressure us, we do pretty good.
I think it'd be good, but is that something that you would? I mean, are you guys
watching
looking at
the film? I wouldn't do. I did the exact opposite because that's what we've struggled with.
Against coverage.
Yeah, I want people to blitz us because the system.
Well, and Reed is an athletic quarterback,
and gets rid of the ball quickly, and that creates a lot of problems, and you're putting a lot of pressure on guys in their secondary to cover and to be man to man, and if you're not 100% confident in your guys to do that, that's not something you want to hang your hat on. I'm not saying they won't do it. I just wouldn't do it.
Why didn't you correct me? I was wrong on all those stats because those were 2014 stats. It's actually 8.29 points per game, 3 passing touchdowns. I'm just
there you go.
4 rushing touchdowns. I'm sorry. I picked up some bad stats thanks to the internet. But
now, Coach Jesse alluded to it. I'm just going to point blank ask it. Is this a trap game? Do your guys look past Southern Nazarene, having to come back home to defend the home turf against Arkansas Tech, a team at the top of the conference, a team that we have played well against in the past? Me and Jesse have said for 2 years now, if we would get Arkansas Tech late in the season
at home,
that's a team we could beat. It's lining up to be that now. Now, they're a little better this year than I think anybody expected them to be.
Yeah, they're a different team.
Are you concerned about your guys looking down the road?
No. I don't think they've done that. I think, like I said, OBU game was a deal where they were the first time they expected to win and maybe thought it was going to be a little bit easier than it was. And then, like I said, then I tell them, hey, we're not to the point where we've proven enough to be able to look past anybody and say that this is going to be a win.
This isn't the 99, 2000, 2001 Rangers.
That's right. Yeah. So the guys know they got to go out and play a good game to win the game. We have to play a good game to win the game, and that's the only thing we're focusing on. And I don't think anybody's even mentioned Arkansas Tech except you guys. In our locker room or anything. So of course, as coaches we think about that stuff, but I don't think the players have.
You can't choose a win. What one thing do you want to take away from Saturday, this coming Saturday? You can't say a win. What one thing do you want to take away from Saturday?
Us finishing, from start to finish and being consistent, because our consistency has not been there all year. Even our most complete game, Southeastern, the consistency still wasn't there. There was a lull there in the third quarter where we didn't play real well. So I want to play well for the whole entirety of a game.
If I could, are we answering?
Yeah, no, I want you. Actually, I'm good. You're going to do this. Go for it.
If I can take away I want 150 yards out of the power eye.
You're not going to get that.
You're just dreaming.
I would like to see Northwestern finish the game with 100 rushing yards and Reed Miller set some kind of a passing record. I hope that the 69-17, 69-14 victory from 2 years ago goes down.
I know. We set some passing records last week, and it doesn't matter. That don't matter.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. I agree. But I would like the scoreboard to reflect a huge offensive day for the Rangers.
So Zach Doyle, 300 yards. That'd be a great day.
You know what? I'll even take Zach Doyle, 99 yards with 4 touchdowns.
I understand. I just want to be healthy. Here's my deal, and I don't know why. I've seen things happen at this game that it's just being that one brawl game that really may not end up being that big of a brawl. I just always fear, watching the Wardlaw brothers play against each other, things like that, and things happen in those games, and I just want to come home healthy. We can't choose win. I think we're going to come home with a win. My deal is I'd like to come home healthy because I don't want to be handicapped in any way, because I want to match up against.
Well, and remember with the Wardlaw brothers, I'm glad you called them the Wardlaw brothers, because in off-the-air conversations we refer to them as Brock and the other one.
Yeah, Brock. That's fun. That's been a long time. When was the last time anyone mentioned them on the radio? Maybe they're doing it right now on SNU's broadcast, but 2 good guys there regardless. But it was fun watching those ball games down there. And like I said, we kid around about this a lot. I I do love going to Bethany. You will have as big of a crowd in
on the visitor
Bethany
stands, yeah.
Saturday as you did at home during fall break.
Now,
and that is not
Coach,
that's not fair. That's
have
not
you
fair.
been reaching out to any of the old Rangers around the city area, inviting them to come down?
They've been inviting me for Friday night, and I'm like, hey, we're not leaving until Saturday.
that's not
We're not leaving until Saturday.
You certainly don't want to say any of their names on the radio.
Travis
do you?
Fox should
There'll
make
be
an
a lot.
appearance.
There'll be a lot of guys there.
Tony, how you doing, buddy?
It's like BC should come say hi to everybody in the city. Isn't he still in there? Anyway,
There'll be a lot of guys there.
I just
Throwing
should
that-
be a good deal. Like I said, and we have fun. And we call it Ranger South, but I mean the point is that it is it's an opportune place for us to go down and let a lot of the Oklahoma City Metro alumni and everyone come into a game, and then we have just a great showing on the other side of the field. And I look forward to seeing everyone Saturday. I hope this rain starts tomorrow and ends Friday night so that we don't have that issue, because that's a grass field down there.
It's turf.
No, it's turf now. Turf now.
See, I miss things.
There you go.
I'm glad to
New
know
head
that.
coach and turf.
And turf.
Interim head coach, though.
Yeah.
We'll see if he gets the job.
What did they do that before the year?
Yeah.
He-
Cochran left late.
before the season.
Did not know that.
They've got an interim right now running things. Good, looks to be a good guy from everybody that I've talked to, and we're probably trying to coach his way into a job, if I had to guess. Win against
Which
Matt
makes him
Walter
a little,
would help out.
Makes him,
A little more motivated. All right, Coach. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you down there on Saturday. Again, it's 4 o'clock kickoff. That will be a 3 o'clock start to our pregame broadcast. You'll be able to hear the coach with his comments right before the game. We'll go around the table real quick. Final thoughts, Coach Walter. It's a big game on Saturday. We just don't lose to SNU.
Hey,
No
I just
pressure.
What's he
want our
supposed to
guys.
say to that?
I just want our guys not to lose the scoreboard and play one play at a time and do their job. Their job, one play at a time.
Sounds like a good coaching plan, Jesse.
I want everyone to leave and ignore OSU homecoming. Come to Bethany. Because I'm that guy.
All right, and again, I certainly hope that we can find win number 3 down there in Bethany this weekend. Certainly is going to be a good time if you can make it down. If you can't, make sure you catch us right here on AM 1430 KALV or live around the world on the internet. You can find the link on the Northwestern Athletics homepage.
Or
That'll
tweet
do it.
Matt or text message Matt. He'll send you the link.
Yeah, that's true. You can. That'll
I'll
wrap
put out
us
his
up
phone
for,
number now.
That's great.
Put it on Twitter.
That'll wrap us up for Inside the Lines for this week. We will join you again from Saturday. For Jesse, for the coach, for Michael Collins back in studio, I'm Matt Adair saying good night, Ranger Nation.